So Warren is agreed to show us something that's not really been shown before. You're going to be seeing some stuffs right here, right now, first time with some incredible stories.
Yeah, I'm excited to show some of the reality behind the Knights of the Golden Circle and the notion that they buried lots of treasure, gold, silver, jewels, and other things, that they existed well into the 20th century. And guess what? Jesse James did not die in 1882. He was not assassinated. He faked his death. He faked the death of his first cousin, another Jesse James from Missouri that we all know about. What we're hearing about today is the treasure of Jesse James from Kentucky. I believe it's Jesse Woodson James from Kentucky. I've been at this for 27 years now, and there were two Jessies. They were both part of the KGC. And the Kentucky Jesse, who spent a lot of time in Ohio and a lot of time in Tennessee, as we'll see tonight, he faked not only his death, but that of his cousin. His cousin was more the shoot 'em up outlaw that we see and hear about so much. This was a genius facilitator of the Knights of the Golden Circle cash depository system, the treasurer, the commando, and very plugged into the political powers that be at the time.
I am extremely excited about this that Warren has agreed to come to the 2025 Moon Lake Gathering on August 14th, 15th, and 16th at the Duchesne Event Center. But what's really special about this is not only is Warren coming, but also Bob Brewer is coming, and they co-authored a book called Rebel Gold, and it was kind of the Bible to the Knights of the Golden Circle, the KGC treasure. And so this is, and Warren, you haven't seen Bob for quite a while, so I'm thinking that this is going to be a great reunion for you two guys, and this is going to be a great deal, especially for any of those that want to learn about the KGC. But right now, we're going with round two, and Warren has agreed to show us some exciting stuffs with the KGC, that this isn't just a bunch of BS, that there's some real stuff to this. And with that said, Warren, I'm just going to turn it over to you and take this show away.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. Wonderful to be back with you, and very much looking forward to coming out to the event, seeing Bob Brewer. It's been many, many years since we've been together. Big fan of his, and it'll be a great event. Hopefully, people will ask lots of questions and figure out really what's been going on with the KGC story and the gold and Jesse James and everything else about this incredible story. So I appreciate your interest and being back with you. Thanks.
And I just want to say, if the guys don't ask you guys questions, man, they're missing out, because that's the whole purpose of this. There's a lot of knowledge going to be there at this gathering, and you need to ask some questions. And if you're afraid to ask questions, just, man, hang around and eavesdrop and listen to what's said, because there'll be some incredible stories that you would have never, ever got to hear any other way. And with that said, Warren, take it away.
Yeah, it's true. It's an amazing story, and so many people contribute to it, right? It's nobody's domain. People have connections with their family and historical research that they're doing. But Hardcastle was a guy who passed away recently. He was a wonderful, knowledgeable researcher and historian in this area. Did a lot of great work. Knew Bob. I met him many times and was very appreciative. He had some incredible firsthand information, maps and whatnot, and he was a guiding light. There are so many people in the past that have contributed to this story. And today, they're all very active, and they're going to be at the event, and everybody's going to have an incredible conversation, which I really welcome. So happy to get going on a journey that I hope to take everybody on this evening. It's a journey that will take us to KGC cash depositories, where individuals have worked the land and the symbols, and they're really smart folks in the state of Tennessee, in the state of Ohio, where there are two major sites where Jesse really, really made his headquarters is Ohio. We'll get into that later, the real Jesse. And then in Utah, there are a couple of places that are active right now that I'm not at liberty to disclose because that news will come out later. But I hope everybody enjoys the trip. So what we have here tonight is a journey through several KGC sites, Tennessee, two in Ohio, and one in Utah, that I think your audience will be fascinated by because of the richness of what's being found. I'm going to start with this. This is the finger of Jesse James. He made a mold of his finger, which was so famous. It was either shot or bitten off part of it. And I think he was making a statement here that, um, lo and behold, here's my finger. It's about, you can see the size of it. And this is in Tennessee. This is a place where we believe Jesse actually hung out for many years in hiding. Jesse was known, whether it was the Kentucky or the Missouri Jesse, I don't know, but Jesse was known to have spent time in Tennessee and in Nashville in that area. This happens to be in Eastern Tennessee, and it's just absolutely fascinating. There's some inscriptions at the bottom here, and it absolutely is his finger. So he probably created a clay mold, poured some molten AU into it, and came out with this amazing piece. I'll show you some different views of it here. Here's another view. You can see how reflective it is, the gold. Here's another vision. And this was found by a friend of mine in Tennessee who contacted me, read the book, Rebel Gold, really smart guy, did all his research, and incredibly that this material is there in the house and in the grounds, on the grounds there. It's all buried in coated material. So that's the finger. I'm going to now show you this set of cabochons. Now, this is where things can get really crazy. So this arrowhead was pointing to this vessel, which is shaped like a castle turret. So keep in mind, I just said castle because these 33 golden circles, 33 golden circles found in a castle, and they're inscribed with the lettering CS, as in Confederate States. Here's a blue one, and that's probably some sort of I don't know, topaz earring. Now, this material right here, these 33 cabochons, golden circles, were found in a castle. Now, you know what the symbology of that is. Knights of the Golden Circle, 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason that Jesse was, and they would always meet in KGC castles. How about that?
Hmm.
Isn't that incredible?
So that is, but what's interesting to me is you're saying that that arrowhead pointed to it.
Absolutely. So
Wow,
the
I would
entire,
have never ever thought something like that.
you'll see as we talk this evening that there's consistent patterns of burial markers, carvings, embedded clues in the ground. So these arrowheads are being found at every one of our signs. The Knights of the Golden Circle cooperated with the Indian tribes, especially the Cherokee and the Sioux, but especially the Cherokee. They were called the Cherokee KGC. So I think in honor of the pact that they had with the Knights of the Golden Circle, which was facilitated by their real leader, Albert Pike, the head of the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite, who was a Confederate brigadier general, but he was in charge of representing Indian tribes before the Civil War. And then he brought these Indian tribes, Indian nations on the side of the Confederacy. So I think in homage to the Indians, Jesse and his guys used arrowheads in many, many of their cash depositories, which we consistently find, which
Wow.
happened, which this is Tennessee, but you're going to see it happens in Ohio. I mean, in one cave in Ohio where we have this target, there were 12 of these type of pointers.
Wow.
So in addition to Jesse's golden finger, we call it gold finger, we found the cabochons, my friend did, being signaled by this arrowhead, this spearhead. These were also found. These are two silver pieces and a pearl rosary. If you take a close look, you can see that these are pearls and a rosary. I don't know how old it is. That was found in this cache. And then look at this piece here. It's some kind of bird that's
Yeah.
covered. It's covered in a caliche.
Hmm.
A lot of the pieces that are being found right here are covered in caliche.
Are
Uh,
they metal covered with caliche, or is that caliche that's just been carved?
We
or
believe
just a
there,
rock that's got caliche on it?
we believe there's metal inside a lot of these pieces.
Hmm.
Jesse James spent a lot of times at this site. He was extremely creative. He was an artist, a sculptor, a painter. He left a painted map. He sculpted these self-portraits. You can see the mustache here, the nose, the eyes. It's just absolutely profound genius, if you ask me, this stuff. You'll see some more. Now, I want you to take a note of this. Take a note of this. What do you see there, Terry? You see the pattern on there? It's the KGC template.
Hmm.
It's the circle and the penciled lines. And we're going to come back to that. That was found there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see the penciled lines in the beginning, but I see
Yeah.
it now.
Yes, sir. Here. There you go. There.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Okay. We'll come back to that. Now, listen to this. I talked about his genius. This is a map of the United States. Maine, Florida,
okay.
California, Washington, continental US. But it's a KGC map that Jesse did. He sculpted this. It's going to be very hard for you to see this, but that's it. Jesse is right here. He's right. That's his head. That's his eyes. That's his body. That's his arm. He's riding this horse. He's riding a horse. That's a horse head right here. I'm not kidding you.
Hmm.
And it's not illusion. It's real. And there's all kinds of stuff written in here. You
So,
gotta
so you
marvel at this stuff.
so you can tell it's carved then, huh?
Yeah, right here. That's
Wow.
him. He looks like a little jockey right there. So here we have another large piece. If you look really carefully, you'll see his eye here, his mouth, and his nose. He sculpted that. That's another self-portrait. It's hard to see it. That's his eye, that's his nose, that's his mouth, and it's a profile picture looking this way, if you can see that.
Yeah.
Here are many of these coffee can-like concretions. There's stuff inside. We haven't opened them all up. We haven't opened them up, but we think there was stuff put in there, and they were covered in caliche really fast. I'm
Hmm.
not going to say what's going on with that because we're developing that, but you can see they're about the size of a coffee can,
Yeah.
milk can. Yep. Here's another sculpture of Jesse. You can see his nose, his eyes. This is his hat, his Confederate hat. You'll see this in other versions of Jesse carved on the trees in Ohio and everywhere else. He's a sculptor. I'm not kidding.
Hmm.
So that's what's going on in Tennessee. There's more stuff that is being developed, but you've got the Goldfinger, you've got the golden circle cabochons, which are fire opals, or something called I think they're probably fire opals, maybe from Mexico, or spessarite. Um, and you have some other gem types in cabochon form. You have silver, you have the rosary, you have a gold star that may be affiliated with Quantrell, like the
Really?
Texas star. Yes. And you have Jesse's signature at, JWJ on some of these things and his writings. And a full set of hints when he was there. And by the way, he was there in the 20th century. Remember, this Jesse James that we're talking about did not die until 1951 or 1950. And that's part of this huge story. So, for anybody to understand this, you got to believe that Jesse faked his death and lived to a ripe old age, well over 100, and spent some time here in Tennessee, in Eastern Tennessee, not just in Nashville. And he hid out there near the border of, Virginia and some other places. And I meant to say the Carolina, Virginia border, that area. And he definitely was active in this time period. So if anybody starts to question how old these things is, well, some of this stuff might have been taken in the 1800s, late 1800s, but it was still being worked on and buried and whatever coded into the 1920s, 30s, etc. So that's critical for understanding.
And that's where some people get derailed because they go to the history books and they look up Jesse James and that he got killed in what date was that?
1882,
1882.
April.
So they say this is there's no way this is true because Jesse James got killed in that date, and so this can't be real. But they don't know the full story. They don't know the true history. They don't know what you've dug into as an investigative journalist. So I'll
Yeah,
just leave it
so
at that.
so you have to buy into the J. Frank Dalton story. J. Frank Dalton came out in 1948 in Oklahoma and said he was Jesse James. And there were newsreels. You can actually look them up on Google and see Jesse James coming out in 1948 as Jesse James after all those years in hiding. And I believe that is Jesse James. It's the Jesse James from Kentucky that we're talking about, not the one from Missouri. There are two of them. And this one from Kentucky who moved to Ohio after the Civil War and had a huge base of operations. They're bearing gold, silver, and arms for the Confederacy to rise again. He spent time in Tennessee. He spent time in Kentucky, Ohio, Arkansas. It's the same guy that was with Bob Brewer in Arkansas. We're going to see that. It's the same guy who is out in Utah, where you are, New Mexico, Texas. He was everywhere. Horseback, rail transportation. He had interest in mining, which is copper, silver, and gold, probably in oil, definitely in railroads that he ran. This is the guy that Clark County was probably named after, therefore Las Vegas. We'll get into that later, but let's go back to the treasure trail. Here's a picture of me. We're moving now to an active expedition in Ohio, and this is in southern Ohio. There I am looking at an incredible carving by Jesse and his guys. Um, this here, if you can see it pretty well, I can make it bigger. I don't know if my pictures have been too small, but this is a vault symbol, this rectangle, and it's got some stuff on the corners of it. And I believe what it's indicating here, it's very interesting, is bank, B
Mm,
and K, but there's also like a Masonic V compass and square type thing going on. But it really says bank. If you lift Jesse's sombrero head here, that's what that is. That kind of forms an A. So they're saying there's a bank underground here. This is on top of a hill. It's on top of a kind of a mound. Wink, wink. People in the
mm.
know will know what I might be talking about. This, the map that was done by Jesse's grandson makes it very clear. You're going to be shocked by this, that there's treasure, and this is in the shape of a diamond right here. There's a Gatling gun cache of weaponry. Look at this. You see the little handle here?
Yep.
That's a
Yep.
Gatling gun.
Ah.
And they're pistols. What is that?
Huh.
That's a pistol.
That a pointer direction?
Yeah, so the thing that we're detecting is very close to this, and it's big time. Okay, here's a close-up. So you see the bee. I'm asserting that's Jesse's head with it wearing a sombrero. He's very
Uh-huh.
proud of the work he did in Mexico, rescuing Maximilian. You push this up and you get B, A, and K, but there's a W here too. That K is really interesting.
Yeah.
Here is, if you ask me, the transport of precious metals, and that's a Gatling gun looking at you. The little crank here on
Mm-hmm.
the side. Okay. Can I be sure of all this? No. I've been at it for 30 years because I was introduced to it by Bob Brewer and been in the field many, many times at probably 20 sites over the years and quite a few with Bob and learned a great deal from him. But what's happening here is very smart people on the ground. They read Rebel Gold. They've heard about us. They've heard about the research. Their families are involved, or they just realize that their area of private property, is relevant to this, and they start exploring and they get in touch. And sometimes it's really worth working with these folks because everybody's contributing. Nobody has all the answers,
Yeah.
and the truth comes out.
Cool.
Okay, so let's take a look now here. This is how this whole trail in Ohio that I'm showing you gets started. This, if you look really carefully, is an owl. You see the two ears?
Yep.
You see the eyes? We drew it here.
Yep.
And guess what's in the middle of it? There's a turtle with a seven.
Hmm.
Now watch this, what I show you. See the turtle laying eggs? The most important symbol for the Knights of the Golden Circle, gold cache burial, is a turtle laying eggs.
Hmm.
Okay. And by the way, at Dents Run in Pennsylvania, the shape of the cave was that of a turtle, and there were carvings on the cave where the
Really?
gold was buried. Yes. So you see here, there is the turtle inside it. You can see his flippers and his head, and
Uh-huh.
we drew it here, and we blew this up. Now, what I want to show you is something fantastically interesting. I'll always refer to pattern recognition. That's what this is about, because they had dozens of carved symbols and whatnot, from the turtle to the owl to the heart to so many different things. But you have to start to understand what the priority symbols are and what they mean, and distance matters and all these kinds of things. But just to give you a classic example, let's keep this picture in mind here, and then let's let's scroll down to uh, Bob Brewer's famous image here, which I'll show you. Look at that. This is Bob Brewer. Bob took me to this tree when we first started. Here's the turtle head. Here's the seven. Can you all see the seven
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Here are the eggs. Now, let's just pause for a second and think about this. This is eastern Arkansas, mid-state, near the border of Oklahoma. Okay, there's a snake, there's all kinds of stuff on this. And this tree helped Bob find one of his first recoveries of gold coins. Okay. And he went from step by step by step with all the knowledge he had gained. It just fascinated me, and really inspired me to write the book with Bob, Rebel Gold. Now, it's pretty amazing that you see this carving, which led to Bob's finding gold in Ohio, right? Far away. It's the same guy. I just find it remarkable, to say the least, that these incredible carvings, this is not on a beech tree. This is on a different type, more like an oak. And it's been chalked by Bob so we can all appreciate it. And this was done at least 20, 30, 25 years ago or more. This video he took, that's a screen grab from Bob's video. But I just love that fact that it's there.
What's interesting to me is that, they're using some of the same symbols as what the Spanish used for their treasure symbols, the turtles, the number seven. As far as I know, the Spaniards didn't use the eggs, but it's interesting to me that they're using some of the same symbols. And I wonder if there's a correlation between that.
Terry, that's a good question. The KGC definitely used or incorporated Spanish symbology for treasure, ciphers and text and markers. In fact, they expropriated Spanish gold that was in the United States that was shown to be in certain spots and out west, hidden by some of the Native American nations that were there. They were aware of them, the Aztec connection to Utah and all that. And Jesse was very well aware of the Spanish symbols and symbology, I meant to say, and their methods. And they were also very aware of where the mines were, not just the treasure, but where the mines were, where you had crystal veins on the surface, placer type, or you had mining operations. Um, so they used Spanish mines to extract gold. They used Spanish mines to stuff gold in and seal it up for a cache that they wanted to keep secret to come back to for a second Civil War.
Hmm.
They had an incredible network, and Jesse was tied into Maximilian in Mexico, who came from
Ah,
more the Austro-Hungarian Empire that sent him over than the French Austro-Hungarian alliance. And he rescued with Shelby from the Civil War. They rescued Maximilian and brought Maximilian's gold back to Oklahoma and Texas, and maybe even some of the stuff you're going to see tonight.
huh.
Yeah, Maximilian, the story goes, and I believe it to be true, was saved from execution in Mexico, and in return, rewarded Jesse and the KGC millions in gold and silver and jewels. So let's scroll down a little bit. We're going to go back to where we were, and it's right here. So we talked about this incredible vision of the turtle. This is now in Ohio, in southern Ohio, where this big mound treasure possibly is. Some call it like a hollow mound. Look at this turtle head or snake head that's on the trail. This is a pointer. You see the snout, you see the eye,
Mm-hmm.
you see, and
Yep.
it's worked stone. It's really incredible. So this is on the trail. You got the owl, which says there's gold in a direction, and there's the turtle with the seven laying eggs. You're on the trail. It's hot. At one end of the trail is a safe that's above ground near old rail track. Can you believe it?
Hmm.
And all kinds of crazy stuff has gone around this safe here. This is the edge of it right there. It's large. It dates back to this is probably insulation. So I'm not so sure how old it is, but remember, the Knights of the Golden Circle were operating clandestinely into the 19th century, including in Ohio. Now, this is really, really fascinating. This is another clue on the Southern Ohio Trail. Remember, not too far from Kentucky in that region. Can you see what's written here, Terry?
I can't make it out. 7-7
That's right. P
RA August.
PA, PA, and then 71656. These
Uh,
sevens are incredibly important. You see the little hook that comes down right here and here and here?
yep. Yep.
PA is a symbol for gold. Very few people are aware of that Jesse used. It's crazy, but he
Really?
did. PA,
I
absolutely.
didn't know that.
And then if you take 56 minus 16, I'm not a numerologist person at all, but 56 minus 16 is 40, minus 7 is 33.
Hmm.
56 minus 16 minus 7, 33. Now,
Uh,
why are the sevens important? I'm going to show you. This gets to be mind-blowing, and I'm going to show you. Um, okay. When Jesse faked his death and that of his cousin, he he was with his bodyguard, John Traml. John Traml, it's recorded in journalistic reports from Oklahoma. John Traml lived to 118. He was an African American. And yes, he was the closest of allies to Confederate Jesse James, and some other African Americans were as well. Trammell couldn't write. He was illiterate. He was a great boxer, and he's a real person. There are pictures of him with J. Frank Dalton. But here's what I'm going to show you. This is part of our conversation tonight that is truly mind-blowing. You see here, right here, I'm pointing to it. That's the 777 marker stone that's leading to this treasure, cash depository treasures in Ohio. Okay?
huh.
All right? Watch this. What do you see? Tell me what you see right here.
7-7-7.
Look at the hook. You see that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And I'm going to tell you that that's been found in another place.
Hmm.
Think about what I'm saying. What Trammell did, working with another member, maybe one of the youngers, what Trammell did in this posse of the Kentucky Jesse is he buried these four bricks. I think there were four, there might have been six, and he inscribed them to say, we killed Bigelow. That's John Bigelow and Charles Bigelow and the other Burt Bigelow. They killed Bigelows. Later, they killed Chaz and Burt, but they killed John and put John in the coffin. I'll explain that. Jesse attended his own funeral. But when they faked Jesse's death, Bigelow shot a couple of these guys. He was an expert shot. And to commemorate the event, they buried these stones, which were found by a couple of kids in Missouri in the 60s. And this is written about, these bricks, in the newspapers of St. Joe, Missouri. Now, if you look really carefully, what do you see, my friend? You see a snake. There's
I
a
see a
snake.
snake. Yep.
You see the 777. You see
Yep.
the infinity sign. You see the dagger.
Yep.
You see the J.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, my friend, I'm a journalist. This is getting beyond the preponderance of the evidence which you need in court for misdemeanor cases. For felony cases, the big stuff, you need a beyond a reasonable doubt proof. So what I'm trying to tell you is this is beginning to prove that Jesse faked his death, that Bigelow, I'm going to prove this to you just now, that Bigelow and Jesse's grandson went back to Ohio looking for Jesse's treasure when Jesse, J. Frank Dalton, was alive last year of his life. He was ailing in a Texas hospital. He's interviewed in Texas in 1949 when Hawk, who writes about his grandfather and all these treasures, goes with traml, I'll show you the articles, to central Ohio to find or make sure they're okay, these depositories of gold and silver and everything else. And
Hmm.
guess what? Guess who put that brick there? John Trammell did. The one I just showed you.
Yeah.
He did. Now, now watch. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the articles. There's so many. Look, men from Old West hunt loot in Ohio. There's Trammell. There's Hawk right here. There's the site, the other site in Ohio, which I'm going to get to. That was in we recovered in the Washington Post magazine. There's their map. That goes to the site. Now look, let me show you the other articles. Look, they're not just one, they're many. James Kin find empty treasure chest, Zanesville, Ohio. I talk about Zanesville and Rebel Gold. We knew how important it was. In 1949, they even came with the first metal detectors, Terry. That'll be interesting for your guys.
Yeah.
In 1949, they went to Ohio. They went to Zanesville and they went north. We have the map. We know they went north to chat the site with Chad and me in north. The Popular Mechanics writes about there's video and the Washington Post magazine did. They went north and they went west, exactly west 100. They went west towards this location I'm showing you now, and then they went to Indiana from there. Now that's kind of important because Jake Morgan from the Confederacy, Morgan's raid, he came from Kentucky with KGC members, went into Indiana, went across Ohio. He thought he'd have a lot more KGC members joining him, and he went into Pennsylvania. He was going to hook up, we believe, with General Lee, but he gets stopped in Pittsburgh, and Lee gets stopped at Gettysburg. And guess where we think they were heading? We think they were heading to Dent's Run.
Oh, really?
It's all going to come together. So,
And speaking of Dent's Run, it's an incredible story of what happened, and you're going to cover that part of that in at the Moon Lake Gathering, right? That's one story that people doesn't want. You don't want to miss this story.
yeah, Dent's Run is incredible. So, on this trail in southern Ohio, southern central Ohio, what do we see here? We did this to help. We chalked this. Maybe we just did this over the picture, but this is a turtle with several humps. It could be a snake. A snake, by the way, which you just saw, is a picture of gold, but it means there's a dry creek around, so the water is important. It's a symbol for a creek.
Ah,
So here are two turtles, each laying eggs. One has a square target, one has a circular. The circle could be something like a wash pot, iron wash pot, which Bob Brewer found with, thousands worth of gold inside. He did. This is a beech tree. The beeches are primarily the carved trees. There's some others like chestnut and oak. But here are two turtles from a profile view and a bird's eye view carved on this tree. Can you all see that? I guess you can.
yeah.
Okay. Then here. Look at that. That's a beauty, isn't it?
Yep.
It's a heart stone pointing to interesting material right there. Okay. Now here, what do we find here? We find that's the flip side of that snake head or whatever it was that we found turtle head, right? Look at how beautiful that is. You see the
Hmm.
eye, the mouth. It's a
Yep.
pointer. It's a pointer, guys. Um, pardon me, but I forgot to put this in the Tennessee. But look at this incredible quartzite. You see the mouth and the eye?
Yep.
It's a snake head or a turtle head that my friend found. Isn't that incredible? It's a beauty. Look at the crystalline structure here. It's amazing. It's carved on all sides.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So here's another view of that safe I mentioned. It's pretty exquisite, and a lot of funky stuff went on around there when we were there. I think I kind of alluded to something in the last part, part one that we did, the conversation before. But it's pretty massive. It was obviously taken off a train. The rail is not far from here, and it definitely, this whole stuff corresponds to a map that was done by Jesse's grandson, who I believe is Jesse's grand, Orvis Lee Hawk or Jesse James III. We've been chasing his Black Book information and all his letters that a lot of people haven't seen. Those letters are actually archived at a university, and it's incredible.
Huh.
And they describe how Grandpa buried a lot of gold here in Zanesville, in Ohio. And it says if you go looking for it, you got to look for the pistol carving, the turkey track, the turtle. It's all written by hand.
Huh.
I pulled this stuff together over the years. It's really pretty amazing. All right, cool stuff. You ready?
Yep.
My buddy, who is at the head of the trail in this site in Ohio, which is one of two, is an expert in vintage photography. And who are you looking at there?
I don't know, but I'm going to guess Jesse.
You bet. That's mean ass Jesse from Kentucky. It's not exactly the same person that's pictured on the wanted poster. That's his first cousin.
Hmm.
The wanted picture Jesse, he's very close. The wanted picture Jesse is a badass killer, you know, rough and tumble, outlaw, robbed banks, robbed trains, robbed stagecoaches, hung out with the youngers a lot. This is a Jesse that had his own posse. This is the real Jesse W. James. The other one from Missouri is Jesse Robert James. That's our claim. And a lot of people are starting to realize this was the biggest cover up. And it involved the Missouri governor, and it involved Jesse coming to his own funeral and pretending to be somebody else whose name I could mention. And the story goes on and on and on. But why am I showing you this picture? Well, because on the back of this tintype, it's by a famous photographer from Zanesville. And what does he put? Janesville, Jesse and Zanesville. There's no Janesville. It's Zanesville.
Hmm.
They
Huh.
always screwed around with names on their maps to kind of throw you off, but we know what they're talking about. We know where it is. That's Jesse in Zanesville.
Hmm.
Yep. There's a similar picture of a young Jesse. Look at the similarity. He's standing by a very similar chair. We believe this is the young. See that bow tie? It's always on Jesse. It's always crooked. That's when he's a
Uh,
teenager.
ah.
It's the same guy. Okay, so on the trail in Ohio, we came to a site that has a carving of a turtle laying eggs, a snake, an owl. Pretty awesome, right? And there's a self-portrait of Jesse looking right here. And here we found 6 bolts from the rail. The rail is really important. Very old iron bolts in a circle pattern. Okay? Right there. Here's Jesse. Look at that incredible portrait. Look very carefully here. You see the beautiful eyes, eyebrows, mouth, hair, ears. It's incredible. You can see it, right?
Yeah.
It's a work of art. All When I show you the next site, you'll see Jesse again. He always carves himself. And by the way, here, not at this exact spot, the name Jesse W. James is carved in a beech tree, but it's missing the J. It says ESSEW James right there.
Oh, really?
Yes. Look at the size of this beech tree. It's enormous. Now, I mentioned they were here. And what I didn't mention is in these articles, they interview Jesse James, somebody does at the same time in Texas. And you know what he says? He says, yeah, they're my boys, but they're not going to find anything because I made it impossible to do so. He salted the earth with lead or with clay, with something to prevent the modern detectors, metal detectors, from finding the stuff. He actually says that.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Now here we go. This carving here is central not the same place, near Zanesville. This is Chad's site. I'm not mentioning other names. Chad and I have been in the news a lot, but look at that incredible carving at Chad's site. And there are two major sites at Chad's. One's on private property, near his family's place, his girlfriend's place, and the other is in a camp, and it's just incredible. We're moving now to a second major site, part of this overall master depository network of treasure in Ohio. A little bit difficult, but I want you guys to try and see this. Ah, tell me if you see something in this picture, Terry. Look very closely. Take your time.
Maybe I see a portrait, a square box, an R, an
That's
R.
good enough. That's good enough. It is a vault map. There's the vault coming down. Those are the entryways where stuff is stored. Look at my friend Jesse James wearing a sombrero. Can you see the sombrero? Can you see his
Mm-hmm.
big nose, his eyes, his smile, his big fat belly?
Yeah.
That's Jesse. He's got a smile on his face. He's looking at his burial system, which is right there. I kid you not. Again, a self-portrait right here. That's his face. Here's his body. There might be an arm here. That's an arm. But this is the vault system right here coming down.
Hmm.
Not far away, this is an amazing KGC map. Jesse's name is written here. I saw it very clearly, and then the rain came, and you couldn't see it with the rain, but it's there. This is a rabbit. Go down the rabbit hole to find the gold. This is a heart. It's pointing. This is the H tunnel. This is JJ. These are 19 notches, 19 mule loads of gold
Hmm.
right there. Here is the full Monty, the rabbit, the heart, the H, the 19 notches, the Jesse initials. This is a crude version of a carved raft. They brought the gold on a raft on the creek, up the creek that's here, that gets very deep from the other site. It doesn't have a mast, but it is a boat. When you're up close, you can see it. And here on the bottom, this is a vault system, chamber, chamber, opening, vault down, chamber, chamber. There are four chambers here. And that's what's in the hillside over here. And I'm going to show you what's in the hillside.
Cool.
Okay. So we talked about the peeps coming up. Now, I cannot be sure of what we see in snake cams. So we brought some equipment that I had. It's called a backpack drill, and this on private property. And we drilled into a site that was very near a shaft that had been backfilled that Chad found himself. He was kind of inspired, almost psychically, to find this spot on his girlfriend's property. And all these carvings are from this spot that we're talking about. So we had some openings and we used an excavator to get some openings and we did some drilling and we put snake cams in there. Now these snake cams can run 50 feet. They're called endoscopic scanning equipment that you can use for sewers and whatnot and construction.
Uh-huh.
They feed back the image. You never know what size of the image you're really addressing, and you cannot be sure. But take a look.
Hmm. That looks interesting.
I won't say, but it does, doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay. And then we stick it inside a tunnel, and I'll show you. Oh, I almost hit the wrong button. Look at this stuff. If you ask me, it's fascinating. I can't be sure. This is a split screen. That to me looks like a plate. Uh, you know, like
Huh.
like a wash pot. I can't tell what this is.
So this is with your your your
Snake ham.
snake cam. Okay.
Now, this is a horseshoe that Chad's holding up. It's got one nib missing. That's Jesse. We see it carved into the waterfall there. Let me scroll up for a second. I want to show you. Back in Tennessee, where Jesse lived at this house,
Uh-huh.
look at the horseshoes that are being found.
Ah.
Same. See? Horseshoes, turtles. You'll see a lot of other parallels because that's the most important thing. In journalism, you need two sources to confirm something, right? In general,
Yep.
you go with that. We're getting pretty close here, Terry. I take this on as a historian. Now, look at this incredible stuff. Look at this, Terry. I'm not going to try to rotate it, but if you turn your brain around, this is inside the tunnel system. The the camera is hitting this object, which is, you see how it's shaped right here? And
Mm-hmm.
it's reflecting off the top. In my mind, it's a ore cart.
Mm.
And this stuff is very reflective right here. Now take a look at this. This is from Rebel Gold. This is from the book Rebel Gold that I wrote with Bob Brewer. And I want to point out something incredibly important. Look at what it says. 200,000 gold. Look at how it's written. 200,000 gold. There you go. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Watch. And let's go over this stuff. Um, Spring Gold Camp, Indian camp. Well, there's an Indian camp here. Shawnee. There's a lookout. There's a creek right there. There's a foundry, a smelting operation. Could have been right here, right here. Okay. You see the map. This is I'm going to pronounce it in Spanish. Madrugada. It's the Madrugada Estrella Mapa Oro, gold. The Morning Star map of gold. It's in our book. All right. Jesse drew this map.
Mm.
Okay. And let me go here. Now I'm going to show you the significance of that. Bear with me. Bear with me. I don't have these in complete order, but the significance of it will come up right here. I'll show you. Right here. Look at that. We're standing there. Chad and I are standing right underneath this. 200,000. I chalked this myself. Look at 200000. And we do it by Braille. We read it by
Yeah,
Braille
yeah, yeah.
and gold shows up. Can you believe it? The exact
Oh.
course of the map. You see the duck here? The duck shows up in Tennessee. We have a carved duck. Look at the face of the duck. Here's the head, here's the body. It's a
Uh-huh.
profile of a duck, which means go around. It's a decoy, a duck decoy. So you don't go to that spot, you go to somewhere else. Okay.
Ah, okay.
Symbolism. All right. But pretty fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back.
So I'm learning all kinds of things here because I haven't really been a KGC treasure hunter. I mean, I know about it, not enough not enough to say I really know about it, but I know a little bit about it, but I don't know anything about the treasure symbolism and stuff. So this is interesting.
That's great, Terry. You've been to many places and seen incredible stuff. Look at this incredible tunnel system. Can you see
Yep.
that? Now, Chad crawled through this like a maniac. I'm going to get to that in a second. This is a wild journey, but there's some really wild dudes who are pursuing this stuff, kind of putting their life at risk, if you ask me. I'm claustrophobic, so we have a big joke, but I'd probably go in there, but I don't. I got claustrophobic on a mission I was on with Discovery back in the day, and it's a long story, but in a submersible off the Galapagos. But anyway, that would be a tough challenge to actually go in there.
So is that vertical or horizontal? Is that horizontal?
Pretend you're looking right into it, crawling
Okay.
on your belly.
Okay.
Yeah, so this picture here is where you would be on your stomach crawling into that abyss right there. It goes on and on and on. Um, Pretty interesting picture here if you think about it. Look at this material right here.
Hmm.
Don't know. Now, I'm going
And
to
that
continue.
and that again is with your
Snake cam.
snake cam. And for those that don't know, it's pretty difficult to really even tell if you're right side up or upside down with a snake cam. You just don't really know. It's not that easy to kind of to determine what you are unless you've got a reference of where you're at. It gets tough to figure out exactly how things are.
Said it exactly correct, Terry. That's the challenge. But when you use metal detectors with stuff and they're going off, it's pretty interesting. Now let me continue here. Remember I told you how Jesse was an artisan, a craftsman, an artist?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea what you're looking at?
I have no clue.
It's a sandal made from a lead bullet from the Civil War that we
Ah,
found, that Chad found.
okay.
Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
In the tunnel system near it, here in Ohio. See what you can tell me. Now look really carefully. You got a good eye, Carrie. Tell me what you think you see here. It's pretty directly right in front of you, hidden in plain sight.
Hidden. I'm gonna say KGC maybe.
I'll do it again.
Yeah, KGC.
KGC. It's very rare that they would do that, but they did that. Chad found this site.
Hmm.
It's not too far from the location. Now, what I failed to show you, I did fail to show you something very important from the Ohio site before Chad's, the first one, and it's this. So this is the symbolism, the actual symbolism used by the Knights of the Golden Circle in their records that are at the National Archives.
Really?
Yes, the revolution, the revolt, the rebellion of 61, 15 states they could consider the full Confederacy, including the border states, 375, and the skull and bones, which I'm going to show you. Now look at this tree. This tree, I guess there's the five. There's a 15 is right. The five is right there. This five is right there. And see the skull and bones is behind her. I'm going to show you.
Yep.
I'm going to show you the skull and bones picture so you can see it. Here it is. Look at this, guys. Look at this
Oh
incredible
yeah.
picture. Look at that right there.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. Jesse marked all these trees in Ohio, both where Chad is and where this site is 100 miles away. Okay. And the same thing happens in Illinois, Indiana. That's where the KGC was really strong, the Copperheads. And that's where Lincoln was most concerned that these northern states, part of the Union, had these bastions of militarist opponents to the Union who could actually, like the Viet Cong, blow up from inside. Okay. And these states up in the north were bordering Canada, which was ruled by Britain and France, which were the allies of the Confederacy. A lot of people don't realize that Britain and France were on the side of the Confederacy supplying weapons. They were blockaded, as you know, by the Union, but they came in through Canada to Pennsylvania, a la Dents Run, Ohio, through the Great Lakes. And that's why this was so important. Plus, Jesse had his base there himself. His family moved from Kentucky to Ohio. This Jesse from Kentucky, not the one from Missouri. Quantrell probably was from Ohio. Stanton, who was a Confederate sympathizer, we come to believe, a treasonous member of Lincoln's cabinet, the war minister. We believe he was affiliated, strangely enough, with the KGC, and therefore
Really?
Booth assassination. Booth was a member of the Knights of the Golden Circle. It's a long story. It's part of the book, part of Rebel Gold. Okay. Now, also in Ohio at the first site, take a look at this. Jesse was a creative genius. So what did he do here? He did an anagram. Look at this tree. That says JESS. Here's an E. These letters spell James, James.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, these are old carvings. These are not new. Terry, I had mentioned that this map found at the Tennessee site on a block of wood of timber is actually not just what you think. It's not just tree rings, it's penciled in. And this is the template. It's saying that there is a KGC layout, gold, silver, weapons, who knows, at this site. Now, if you have any doubt, the viewers, look at what's in Rebel Gold. Look at this map. This comes from Texas, the spider map scenario. And this is from Bob's great uncle's diary. He was a KGC Sentinel. Our book was originally called Shadow of the Sentinel. Bob grew up in the shadow of his great uncle, not realizing what he was being taught is how to protect the KGC treasures. Now, look at the similarity. I'm trying to blow this up. Look at the similarity between this, which
Oh,
is the
yeah.
and this in Tennessee.
Yeah.
This is in Arkansas. Now, I've never shown this. We've never shown this to anybody ever. This is like a first, all this material we're talking about here. So here, just so you know, that's the KGC symbol in the National Archives. This is in our book too, Skull and Bones. They have a Templar traditions, and the pirates have a Templar Masonic tradition. Bob and I were in National Geographic magazine talking about this, and one of the trips I took to Madagascar, we talked about this.
Huh.
Yep. So here's J. Frank Dalton before he dies at 100, looking at what might have been and his brother, himself and his brother, and his mother, not Zerelda James, but Molly Dalton from Georgia. Okay. This is the Kentucky Jesse who lived to 1950 or 51, who did all the things that I'm showing you, who spent all this time in that house, in those forested area in Tennessee, who spent all the time in Ohio burying this stuff, marking it, doing the sculpture, doing the paintings, doing the maps. It's the most, to me, it's the most profound history discovery story. And if people doubt that it's real, well, I didn't write this article. This article was written um, in the 70s from a California newspaper. There's billions in Confederate gold. And it talks about Confederate veterans from, descendants, sons of Confederate veterans, first generation, talking about that they know that their grandparents were involved with this, hiding this stuff.
And for those that in the 70s, if I
Sorry.
remember right, in the 70s, in the beginning of the 70s, gold was three in the $300 range. In the late 70s, it shot up real quick, but then came right back down.
Yeah, you couldn't own gold until 72 again. It was taken off. People weren't allowed to own it. We got off the gold standard and whatnot by Roosevelt. But then, for a long time, you just couldn't own gold. And then it shot up, after in the 70s, like you were saying. And now it's at $3,350. It used to be at 2,000 an ounce for decades. But now it's shooting up with all the inflation and worries about war. It's a
Yep.
safe haven. I used to
Yep.
be I used to be the gold correspondent at the Wall Street Journal, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So now I'm going to take you to some other stuff. We're going to move on from Tennessee and Ohio to Utah. Terry, look at this. My friend's site. Look at this incredible map of the KGC on his private property, his ranch, his family's ranch.
Oh,
And these are tree of life type symbolic uh, figures. It looks like a schoolhouse or a fortress. These are important indicators of where things could be. Look at the grid here. These are flags. There's one coming off the roof. Kind of interesting, isn't it, Terry?
yeah.
And here next to it, somebody thought there was something important going on right there, and they dug this incredible shaft way back. And this is what lies underneath. This door doesn't really lead places, but there's stuff that was going on there, still being explored. I'm going to jump for a second to a friend's site in Oklahoma, where the famous wolf map, which is in my book with Bob, is located. There's a place called Lone Wolf, Oklahoma, etc. There's Buzzard's Roost, where there's a picture of a pistol, a dagger. Remember the dagger
Yep.
on the brick and a bow? Well, this is a smelting pot with precious metals in it,
Wow.
found underneath a carved tree.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Now we're going to jump down here. Um, this is a picture of the tunnel system in Ohio that Chad crawled through on his own, maniac that he is. He's a genius and is really great at finding things. He's a real outdoorsman. He can imitate the sound of every animal you can imagine.
Hmm.
It was kind of psychically guided to this site, believe it or not. It's you can see the video if you look up myself, Chad Summers, Ohio. There was Popular Mechanics did some video, but this is a really great picture that he took. This is 20 feet underground. This thing goes way back, this tunnel.
Really?
Yeah. And here's Chad at the bottom. Oh, I got to make this bigger. Sorry, guys. Here's Chad. That's 30 feet down. He removed the backfill of a shaft where the W tree was with all the carvings and stuff where we're looking for things here. Still ongoing.
So he removed 30 feet of dirt going straight down.
Dirt and raw and shale that was
Wow.
layered. Yeah, he did.
Wow.
That's him on his own down there. Yeah. He got me to go into a couple of these adits, but I was a little bit wary. I think that submarine or submersible experience that I had kind of made me a little gun shy to tell you the truth, Terry. Um, so here I am in Ohio, above Jesse, right there with all these carvings, daggers, all kinds of interesting stuff, and that's the map. That is a shaft, part of his sombrero shaft or hallway chamber, and this is the shaft going down. I'm explaining what's going on there.
So
Uh,
so that fits what he dug out. That's the reason he dug that out was because of that, and he found that it was a filled-in shaft, huh?
there were two major carved trees there, Terry, with all this symbolism. This one, the portrait tree, and the one with the rabbit, the heart, the H, the mule loads. Remember, I showed you that one as well.
Yep.
The other one is closer. This is about, I don't know, further away, but they're all pointing. And there was a very old stagecoach that used to come here, and the stagecoach trail is right there. And uh, when he's interviewed, John Trammell, he says, "Yeah, we knocked off a couple of stagecoaches right around this area." Uh-huh. He's telling reporters in 1949, we go back and we find the spot. Chad found the spot. We put it all together. This
Huh?
is this isn't make believe. This is documented stuff. So let me go back now.
Who interviewed John Trammell?
Well, the Zanesville Signal and there are three papers at the
Okay.
time interviewing him, and all those documents we have, you can find them on the internet. Okay, so here's I showed you some speculative stuff that we saw in the snake camp and in the central Ohio spot with Chad. So here's another thing. I don't know what that is, but what do you think, Terry? I have no idea. I don't know about the size. Is it man-made? Is it an acorn type thing? Is it what
I
is
don't know. It's pretty black. I don't know if it's an acorn, but yeah, that
yeah, the
definitely looks man-made or interesting or I don't know, or
yeah the
a black
I
rock or something.
I goofed because the acorn part is right here, that orange part. Take a look at this. Now, you know, our snake ham was all over the place. Now, look at this. Look at this, and look at
Pretty.
this.
There's something there that pretty squared, pretty oblong. That ain't. Yeah.
And that it to us is a rifle butt.
Ah,
Okay, we can't be sure. And look at this. This is pretty convincing to me. Okay, this is a ledge, and the ledge is made of all these layered things. But look at the color here. This is dusted off. This is on the top,
hmm.
not definitive, up and down, but right here, stack,
Yeah.
maybe. I mentioned to the folks that let there be no doubt, Dent's Run, which is a totally separate story in Pennsylvania, is KGC. Look at this beautiful hoot owl tree. You see it? Chink, chink, chink.
Yep,
It's
I do.
pointing, it's
And
pointing to the place where the FBI got the gold. And let me show you one other picture. Terry, go ahead. You're going to ask me a question. I'm
I was
sorry.
just going to say, explain to those that don't know about the hoot owl trees, what significance they are, and just kind of explain to them about that.
Okay. So the hoot owl trees are another major KGC marker that are found in trees that are still alive. And remember, the KGC existed into the 1920s, 30s, probably exists today in some form. So just because somebody would say that tree cannot be 150 years old or whatever, fine, but some of them are. So what they would do is they would take young trees and they would bend them in like a football upright. That's what we call them. You know, like you kick the ball for the extra point right through here, but it's right angled, really right angled, and you follow the bearing that you get from standing here to your target, or sometimes this way. Well, this sucker right here, that one of the guys from the Dense Run Finders Keepers crew, a good friend, good great guy, he found this tree and it's pointing to the site where the dig happened with the FBI, where we claim they recovered about 700 million in gold that we had found, that we had detected, and kind of took it with them. That's a long story, but anyway, for anybody to think that it wasn't KGC, it definitely was. Jesse James wasn't around at that time when it happened. He was too young, right? You know, during the Civil War, he wouldn't have been in Pennsylvania. He might have been close because this is the Kentucky and Ohio, Jesse. But if you have any doubt about that, let's do this. Right next to that tree, right next to it, this metal stove part was buried. And you know what it says with an arrow on it? Red hot. I kid you not.
Huh.
Red hot, pointing to the target 100 yards away with
Hmm.
the hoot owl tree. Okay? And we haven't told this to anybody yet. This is almost all the things I'm telling you is pretty fresh, except for the stuff from Chad's sites, and some of that was kind of fresh too. So let's see now. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit further. So this was found at the Tennessee site, and it's all over our Ohio sites. Can you kind of see what you're looking at? It is big. It is like a bowling ball, but can you kind of see the symbol that's here?
Yep, I can see something's carved into there.
It's a lightning bolt.
Okay.
That's Jesse's other symbol that not too many people are aware of.
Really?
And in the book, Jesse James and the Lost Cause, which is the other book that Hawke wrote, this one by himself. He wrote the Black Book with Del Schrader, who's a journalist way back in the 70s in LA, which was, you know, really interesting. There's some apocryphal, fanciful stuff in there, but most of it has a basis in truth, especially when he's talking about the treasures and Jesse in in Mexico and these things. But in the other book, Jesse James and the Lost Cause, which I have, which is written by Hawke, you know what it is, Terry?
What?
It's a dictation by J. Frank Dalton, Jesse James to Hawke.
Really?
Yeah, and he just uses the third person now and then. But it says when I went back to Zanesville, Terry, when I went back to Zanesville, I was a lightning rod salesman.
Hmm.
And this lightning rod symbol is all over our place in Ohio. You know where this is? Tennessee.
Hmm.
So there you have three states. I haven't shown you New Mexico, but I did show you, and I didn't, we talked, they're four states. Bob Brewer's Arkansas, two sites in Ohio, Tennessee, and Utah with stuff. Some of it's out of the ground, some of it's seen underground with the cameras, the snake cams. But there you go.
Cool.
Had a lot of fun, Terry.
So, man, I got a lot of questions, but again, man, I'm not going to ask them until we get to the Moon Lake Gathering, 2025 Moon Lake Gathering, August 14th, 15th, and 16th at the Duchesne Event Center. Because I'm pretty excited that like I said, I do not know that much about uh, the KGC treasure. I just know that it exists. I don't know the symbolism. I don't know really all the history. A couple of things that you said was that Tram, who was known to ride with Jesse James, was there visiting Dalton. For those that don't wonder, a lot of people say Dalton was not Jesse James. Well, Tram was there when he was he dying or he was in the hospital?
Yeah, he was dying. He was
And,
over 100, 101, and
and
Trammell was there, and other people whose identity we can speculate about, but he was all over the newspapers. There's no question about it.
yeah,
Eh,
so if Dalton's running around saying he's Jesse James and he's really not, why wouldn't Tram out him out? I mean, he was there saying, "Yeah, this is Jesse." That's some pretty compelling evidences right there in my
Yeah, we document that Trammell was in Zanesville, and these sites that I just showed you are in that circle of Zanesville. And we have letters from Hawk talking about Grandpa burying gold in Zanesville. The newspapers talk about Trammell being there with Hawk, the grandson, looking for this treasure, finding some stuff. They actually admit they found some treasure, not just the chest. And we found the sites that they went to because they're there and nobody else had found them. We found them and we found ones. I mean, nobody ever said where they were. We actually found them.
cool.
And the fact that Tremel was there kind of proves that they're not bullshitting because we're finding treasure markers and in some cases indicators of treasure. I won't go into all the details about that because that's coming later.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, with that, Warren, man, I appreciate you sharing a round two of what you've got going on and what because most people don't know about this. I don't really know about this, so I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. And with that said, I can't wait to meet you in person at the Moon Lake Gathering. And I'll just say that's a wrap.
Thanks, man. Look forward to seeing you out there.